How you doing? This is an intro to the intro of this podcast because it was a bit of a disaster. The batteries died in my microphone. I recorded part of it, it didn't record. So it's a bit of a mix and match of conversation, but we've got some good topics out. So bear with it, please watch it or listen to it and enjoy. And I'm sure you'll learn some good knowledge from this podcast. Righty guys, welcome back to podcast 5, or DogCast I should say. We have Emma today. Emma is my guest and friend, someone I train a dog for. So we're going to talk about a bunch of topics, but I'm going to let Emma introduce herself to people and who you are and what you do.
Firstly, Jace, thank you very much for having me. My name is Emma, and what I do is I do performance coaching. I work with people in all sorts of contexts. Used to specialize in sports, but essentially it is how you do something, whatever that is, and how you can do it even better, and really understanding your own thinking, your behaviors, and how to change that. So it really did wonders for me when I was an aspiring athlete, going as high as I could, and now I get to coach and train all sorts of people.
Yep, and like you said, I think there's a connection there with people and dogs as well, performing better, being a better dog handler.
Yeah.
It's all relevant, you know, and I'm sure a lot of this, what we're going to talk about today, will transition ideally to people and their dogs. That is where we're at. So we're going to get to some of the things. We're going to go back and forth. You guys know me. It's pretty casual. We're going to go to a sheet. We're going to cheat. It's not all going to be edited perfect. You're not watching it for that. You're watching to learn and hear good information. So that's what it's about. It's not about looking pretty. I try to look pretty, but anyway, we'll see how we go.
Look, he did trim his beard before he came. No, kidding.
Rightio. So do you want to start off yours? Have you got ideas or run through these? We'll just run through this one.
Mate, I'll leave it up to you.
What I want to do, I want to start straight off with something I talked about last week, and then we're going to, so let's do a few general dog things, and we're going to get some specialised areas and questions and things you want to ask. But something I want to follow up on I did last week, and I see this all the time, Emma, is dogs in cafes. And I'm going to make a video on it soon. Call it a protocol, a system with being at a cafe and dogs. Like only this morning, I was walking down, bringing the dogs back to the car, and there's a girl, and she's sitting over coffee. She's got a little border collie puppy, and it's sitting there with its back to me, walking up with 2 large dogs. And my dogs are fine, there was no problem. But she's not watching her dog. And you know how quick that can go bad, okay? You've got to be set up with your puppy because you don't know my dogs, and that could have been disastrous to the wrong dogs. I nearly tapped her on the shoulder and said, hey, and I know I realised I knew her later, and say, look, just a bit of word of advice, strategically put yourself somewhere. We were talking off camera a second ago about self-defense.
Yes.
And that's me as the martial artist coming to me as well. Whenever I'd go anywhere, go out in public around people particularly drinking, you would never see me with my back facing out. I'd always be back against the wall, and we were talking about that. And I've sort of crossed that over to dogs as well because I think call it dog self-defense. It sort of is a little bit. It's allowing your dog to defend itself and you to see an attack coming. And so I think it's relevant. So stay tuned for that video. I said it last time. I will get that video done soon, but I wanted to touch on that a little bit and just remind everyone out there that when you do go to a cafe, think about that in short. It's not complex. Okay, imagine this is our cafe. We're having a coffee. Where do I want to place my dog? Depending on the dog, obviously. If you know your dog's a little reactive, a little uncomfortable with dogs, you wouldn't put it exposed where it can be surprised by dogs. You strategically put it somewhere. I'd probably put it here, right under my chair, and be there. If it's a resource guarding dog, would I put it too close to me? Probably not. That's another thing people don't think about. If your dog reacts like a lot of dogs, because every dog I train to react, it's very rare that they react when they're not near the owner. It's always when they're near the owner. Talking about doing security, it's like the drunk guy outside a pub, he's tough behind his mates. So when he's behind their shoulders, he's got 5 mates in front of him, he's like, I'll fight the world. That is like your dogs. A lot of people think they're doing the right thing when they pull the dog closer to them when they're reactive. Sometimes it can be the opposite. You're actually giving them confidence because they go, Mum's got my back, Dad's got my back, the lead's tense, the lead's here, it's all, but it adds more fuel to the fire. So if anything, I'm not saying put your dog 5 foot from you, but don't put them under your feet. If your dog's confident and not a resource guarding dog and not reactive, no worries. If it's a dog that reacts and you notice its triggers are and you go, every time it's underneath me, a dog walks by, it reacts. Try next time putting your dog not so close to you and you might find that you don't get the same reaction. So that's a little bit on that, but I'm going to make a video on that. But in short, be strategic. You know, I know you've got your dog, Winston, who's full on, high drive. He's a beautiful dog, but he's a lot of work for you guys. He's been a challenge because you've been trying to change that drive, but you never will change the drive. He's a happy, beautiful dog. but he's very exuberant and you have to be a little strategic with him. I'm guessing when you go places, not because he's not going to attack anyone, but he's high energy, you know, and you don't want him jumping on someone and doing that. So strategy in cafes is really important, remembering that. And I will do a video on that very soon, but there's a couple of quick tips for you. Now let's go to you. So let's go back and forth.
Yeah.
Let's do that. What do you got? I've got a bit of what you've written down, but you go to you.
Basically, a couple of things that I was querying. So in the field that I work with a lot of people, and people talk.
Yep.
We obviously don't just talk. We have body language. We have tonality, as do dogs. And following up on the podcast that you did last time in regards to the body language, what I would really love to know from your perspective as well is, you know, dogs have things to look at. We obviously look at people, we look at facials, you know, lips, we look at eye dilation, your breathing gestures.
Stuff we don't even know we're doing.
100%.
Would that be right? Because you're more specialised in this than me, but it's built-in DNA, it's instinctive with us, and we don't even realise we're reading body language, but we are. Yeah.
Absolutely, and of course you can do that very consciously, but a dog's not going to change skin colour.
No.
And a dog's not necessarily going to change their lips or their lips, right? So those are some things that we can't look at, and they can't just go, hey, today I'm...
Yeah.
And yet, they're things that they say non-verbally that...
Very subtle.
Yeah, 100%.
So many little idiosyncrasies they do that are so subtle, and I still find it really interesting to watch.
Can you break some of those things down?
Yeah.
Me as a dog lover...
Yeah.
And you know, trying to map that from people to a dog.
Yeah.
What would be some things that...
I'll give you a good one that stands out. So I'll use my dog as an example, Nash. And there's a dog at our daycare called Digby, and beautiful dog. And Nash is they've got a weird relationship, weird dynamic. Nash sort of bullies him a bit. It's like a big brother, big Digby loves him. It's funny to watch, and we're like, Nash, but anyway, the point of it is, when Nash comes, Digby runs straight up to him. Every single time he runs up, he gets low and he licks Nash on the lips every single time. And that 100% is acceptance, and I don't want trouble, and that's as good as like a dog handshake. And it happens every time. He walks up and he checks in with Nash every time. And he's not obsessive about it, but he goes probably every few minutes, he runs to Nash, licks under his mouth, and Nash is like, yep, good, and he goes away. Comes back and does it again. Yep. It's really interesting. And so he's saying to Nash, obviously, I really, really like you, and I really, really don't want trouble. But Nash, every now and again, will still assert a bit of. People don't like the word dominance, but the reality is, it is a form of dominance. I don't care what any community says. It is. He'll run over, give him a growl, check in, and go, do it again. Yeah, cool. We'll go away. And it's a weird relationship, and they do it all the time. So that's one that's really, really obvious. There's an interesting video I put on my Instagram just a few weeks ago. It was Nash meeting a dog in the daycare, and if you didn't know how to read dogs, you'd go. A lot of people would go, oh my God, get them apart, because my dog was quite verbal. So this puppy was jumping up, put his feet on his back, Nash would growl at him. And then I was watching the video later on, and Nash's tail was up like this, and the usual signs, tail stiffness, going on the tail side of it. Where a lot of people get it wrong, Emma, is they think a wagging tail is a good tail, and it's not always true. It depends where it's wagging. If it's I heard a term a while ago called flagging, whatever you want to call it, it makes sense, straight up in the air. When a dog's tail's straight up and fast side to side, I wouldn't take that as a good sign of tail. That is more along the lines of tension between dogs. That's like working things out. We're sort of like a little tense. We want to like each other, but we don't know yet. Yeah. Anyway, in the video he does this, and it's going like this. And then he does this acceptance thing, which I've never seen it until I slowed it down. It was so certain. He was doing this, and this dog was jumping up, jumped off, licked him, and Nash's tail went, and you watch it, as soon as he jumped off, licked it, went, and went side. And it was like this instant switch from up to lick to down acceptance, and from that second, if you watch the video, they didn't have a problem. And I, even after all the years watching it, that was really cool when you really break down body language. And and the other dog picked up on it straight away and went, well, we're sorted. So many people get involved too quick and don't let dogs work it out. I use the example all the time, like if I'm training a dog and I said to someone that don't get it, I go, let's put it in human comparisons. You stand 10 meters from me, I'll stand here, and then someone will just tell us, without us meeting, that we like each other. And you'll be, what do you mean? We haven't met. Exactly. How do we figure this out? Yeah. So your dogs get frustration reactivity, or even aggression, or whatever your sort of fear-based reactivity, but we don't know until we get there. But then you have the problem of what do you do then when you get there? So on that body language, what you're looking for is the subtle one. There's the obvious ones, baring teeth and growling and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of people get barks wrong. Barks are pretty obvious how serious they are. On tone, but more than anything, watch when the dog barks. Does it go forward when it barks, or does it do that backwards bark going backwards? It really doesn't want any trouble. A lot of people get fooled by a bark, and it's, I would say, if I picked 100 dogs, I would say 1 out of 100 dogs is serious. And I can say it because I've trained thousands. Very few dogs will do anything. Most people don't know how to read a bark very well. You can hear when it comes from their mouth, it's just a woof woof bark rather than that deep guttural serious bark. And you know it in your gut when it's real. You know, you feel it, you go, that's a different sort of bark.
Yes.
You know, and you just, for the lack of a better term, trust your gut. Like, it is on that. Don't just hear a bark and be scared, go, hang on. It's all talk. And you can see them going backwards. From their mouth, it's very, maybe Australian, very woofy, just woo, 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 woo. And you're like, whatever. The dog's just trying to bluff you. But when it's that lower, guttural, you know, that stare, got that intense stare, that's the one. That's an important thing to look for, that bark, how they bark. Obviously, got the teeth baring, mouth closing shows a lot of intention, like even talking about reactivity, where I tell people to mark behaviour, which is like correct, use it, leave it, use it, no, whatever term you want to use. If you're walking your dog, mouth is open. Their first sign of intention towards a dog, maybe not to hurt it, but is mouth closed. It's usually this first sign. Often I see it in dog. Mouth open, tongue out, mouth closes. Like us, we sort of go from relaxed to like, serious, very similar, because I've seen your notes there, you've got like what similarities are there.
Yeah.
And then we might as well sort of digress to that. There is a lot of similarities in humans and dogs in a lot of ways. I know I say we shouldn't anthropomorphise, but the reality is there is a lot of similarities between our body language and dogs. And that's how I get people to answer their own question, how to read it. I go, well, what would you think of your body language if you were looking down and looking away? Would you think you're confident or not? No, I'm not confident. Exactly. That dog's not confident. It's looking down, it's avoiding, it doesn't want trouble. That's a good one to look for, avoidance. Probably more connected to children than anything. How many kids walk up? I would say, if you made me guess, how many kids are bitten by fear biters or pure aggression, it'd be 100%. Why? You could get a 2-year-old child that's never spoke a word of English in their life, put a barking dog in front of it, it ain't going near that dog.
No.
It's just in your DNA. That means danger, yeah? But you put a fear biter in there, which is a dog that'll sit there like a cornered person and be like this, the kid won't read that body language. They'll just see a dog that's quiet and they go, oh, it's a quiet dog. They walk on over.
Okay, guys, the sound has changed. Our mics are gone, so we will talk nice and loud. It is what it is. You're still going to learn a lot. But we spoke for about 20 minutes. I think we missed it. But it's all right. We'll get it in the next podcast. Let's go over again what you talked about when it comes to, do you think dogs change in leadership? Do you have to keep on them? Along those lines.
You know, will a dog continuously test you just to make sure that today you're the leader?
Yeah.
And the second follow-up is, if that is the case, does that then mean that there's never going to be a time where the dog just knows you're the leader?
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. So, first thing is, yes, I do believe dogs continuously challenge. Breed dependent, but they'll still push and they'll be cheeky. So I can break it down even further. If you have a very strong dog, you know, pick a breed that you find is a strong leading breed. A German Shepherd, a Belgian Malinois, a Doberman, a Mastiff, whatever, a breed that's known as a big, bold breed.
Yep.
Generally, they're going to be more inclined to try and test the boundaries in the word of formal, call it leadership, than maybe some dogs that aren't so much like the little cavoodle, whatever. Cavoodles will be cheeky. Bigger dogs like that are probably more dangerous in the way of breaking it down. So there's different challenges for different dogs. But the answer is yes, I do believe dogs continuously challenge for it, and I think it's very important that every day in some way we remind them who is in control. Like I said before I had to do take 2, we remind them that if you have a place command, when you don't even need it, the problem is people try to enforce leadership or control the dog when they rely on it, but they don't practice it outside that time. You need to know you can rely on it, not under just that hard distraction. So when you don't even need it, you're watching TV, you're cooking dinner, don't even need it. Dog's name, Nash, place, stay, 5 minutes, good, free, you can hop off. And that'll do. That's one little reminder for that dog in that day going, that's right, I better go there when I'm told. Because if you slip up from that, and you leave it days and weeks, and then you go to rely on it when 5 friends come to your house. You go, why aren't they doing it? They haven't practiced. I trained the dog this morning for someone who said, well, my dog doesn't come back. And I said, I have many phone calls of people that say their dog doesn't come back. And I say to them, have you actually taught the dog the command? And most percentages, I went to go 0 and the wife went 0. We haven't done. I went, but it actually surprises me how many people, like, that'd be like me saying, literally no different, going, you going to me, why don't I know about mirroring and psychology? I haven't done it yet. But it doesn't matter, you should know. I haven't been taught.
Yes.
It's no different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're taught to use it. So we teach kids how to say please and thank you and how what going to bed means. And
Yep.
so guess what, people? When your dog's born, they aren't born with a vocabulary of come, sit, stay, down, heel, free, whatever. You have to do the work. Put a lead on your dog. Say come. Pull your dog in. Reward. Food, pat, praise, whatever you want. Do it again. Come. Repeat, 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 repeat. And guess what? It goes, oh, come means go from point A to point B and good things happen. Don't forget that, okay? So, but that is the same. If I don't do that, Emma, and then I'm on the beach and I say, come, and my dog, and I've never practiced it, how can I expect my dog to know it? But getting a dog to come is, yes, about knowing an obedience command, but I think come is really one that's linked to leadership, because you're showing that you have, call it power, control, bond, leadership for your dog to say, you're going to leave that spot and you're going to come to me now. That's a big deal to make a dog do. And the amount of people that ring me and go, and they say it like it's cooking breakfast. They go, can you teach my dog to come? I go, like it's that casual. It's not. It's the one command where we don't have control of our dogs. We don't have a lead on them. No. The goal is no lead. So that dog's literally got a choice. Yeah, I don't know. I got all this space. And you know a bit about obedience now. How do we make a dog come? We need to add value to ourselves. But do I think it's a little bit more than value? Yeah, I'll be lying if I said, when I've said come to my dog and he's thought twice about it, I haven't lowered my voice and done it again. He knows he's not going to get in trouble for coming to me, but it's a tone that he knows I must do it. And that really reinforces and brings me back to that leadership and dominance thing, that if that wasn't a real thing, why does my deep force get a response?
100%.
If it wasn't a real thing, why is lowering my voice more effective? Answer that to yourself, because I did it today again. I said to someone, watch this. Dog's name was called Honey Bear. Don't laugh. Honey Bear was his name. And I went, Honey Bear. And I did it wrong. I went, Honey Bear, sit. Dog goes. And then you know the drill. I just went, lift my voice up. Honey Bear, sit. Dog went, okay. Just tone. Same word, different tone. So I've never, this is why I like doing podcasts, because you asking me that question answers my own question, that is leadership and dominance a real thing. That even reinforces it has to be. If a deeper voice makes a dog make a better choice and go, he means it, I better go, that is authority. That's like, do it, come to me now. It's not a do it as in you're going to get in trouble or hit when you come to me. It's like, mate, I need you to do it. And it's not joking around. We try the nice approach. First one might be, Nash, come. Doesn't, oi, come. And he goes, okay, I better do it. Okay, so it's still linked to what you said. Yes, that there even is reminding my dog that, oi, even if it's a recall, you're inside the house, your dog's out the back in the garden playing. Just randomly, dog's name, come, give it a reward. Good dog, go back and play.
Yep.
And that enough makes the dog go, got to do it. You have to remind them. Same with your children. You know, if you ever want to answer these questions yourself, look at kids that listen to their parents and look at ones that don't. Look at the parenting style. You know, back in the day when we were kids or whatever, I think parenting has changed a lot now. I had a healthy respect or a little borderline fear of my dad. Not in a bad way, but I went, he's serious.
Yeah, you know.
I knew it. My mum tells me a story one day that she still tells it to everyone. That we were outside a shop. I was born in New Zealand in Roxburgh. And I was at a shop and I was crying for a toy, whatever. And so I was not paying attention. And the one day I did this too many times, my dad happened to walk past the shop. He walked in, and back in the day, yes, I got a whack on the bum. Guess what I never did again? Ever cried in that shop, Mum said. Now, I'm not saying we should hit our children. We know that. The point is, that was a consequence for my behaviour. My desire was to be naughty and cry and put on a tantrum out of control, and he corrected me for it. The corrections we use now are with our voice, and often that can be enough spatial pressure. A bit we talked about before, because I think we missed a fair bit, but you were talking about body language and mirroring and how our body language affects dogs, how we can use it. I don't think we got quite to that point, but I'm big on spatial pressure. You know, like, it's that fancy dog term, but it's the same in human terms. When people lean over someone, you were talking before about, you know, chest being out or bigger, we don't even know. We put our chin up, we close our throat, we be big like this. Dogs are very responsive to spatial pressure. I think also we should go back, because I think we cut out, and if I do talk again, but I don't think we did, I think we've cut out about the body language with dogs when they're fearful. I think it got cut out.
Yeah. So the question that was asked at the time was, us humans, and to use the term, the matching and the mirroring, right? And all that, and if you need to go back, all that is that we can match different types of gestures, tonality, facial expressions. You do parody, but just not so consciously in your face. And we do all of this unconsciously, and we can apply it consciously. Now, that's great when you meet someone and instinctively you get along with, and it's unconscious. You don't even know why, right? You've meet someone
it's a
in the
weird
street,
thing, isn't it? Seconds.
It's
and
like,
go,
oh
I
my
this
god,
person.
I like this person.
It's really weird.
And it's because on a non-verbal level, unconsciously, stuff happens. Now, we can be conscious aware of it, and we can utilize and use that to our advantage. So now, for instance, we meet someone that is anxious, scared. We obviously don't want to copy that, because in turn you would start to feel anxious and scared, and that's not what you want. You want to take them out of it. But in order to do that, you need to establish some kind of a connection first for them to go, and then slowly kind of the transference of what you want to have happen. So the example that was given, say someone that's really nervous and they tap their foot, right? You don't want to start tapping your foot because it would actually make you nervous. But you would do something else. For instance, could be tapping my fingers, and then once we've got that rapport, that connection, I start slowing down, and if it's a good connection and I'm leading, that person will slowly start to slow down their tapping until it stops, because we're in that connection. Now, if we translate that to a dog's anxious, dog's nervous, well, we need a connection for them to then go, oh, okay, it's okay. What are some things that you do as a dog trainer?
Yeah, so we, like I said, we talked about this and I got cut out, but I think it's important to cover again. So let's use a fearful dog, not a biting dog, but a fearful dog, nervous to meet new people. Let's just go like that. Nervous to me, not terrified, not going to attack me, just goes, I don't want to meet that person. Let's start where I think it starts. It starts with the owner. In most cases, that owner hasn't, for the lack of a better term, let that dog be a dog. The owner's made too many choices for that dog. Oh, you're nervous. Okay, I'll take you away. And I always say to owners that don't maybe understand how that's bad, I say to them, okay, and this is along the lines of exactly what you're talking about. If you had your child with you, and let's be silly, they saw a car. They've never seen one before, and they were nervous of looking at a car. You would call that what I call irrational fear. You go, it's just a car sitting there. Would you A, go, okay, it's a car, I'll take you away, take you home, you hide in your bedroom? Or would you go, don't be silly. You would grab your child's hand and you'd use compulsion training. You would take them to the car and go, look, touch it. It's a car. And the kid would go, oh, it's just a car. Okay, next time it sees a car, it's just a car, it's just a car. So that is compulsion training. That is going, you're coming over there because your fears are rational. There's nothing dangerous about the car. If that was a car doing donuts, you wouldn't do it. In other words, cross that to dogs. If that was a dog barking, you wouldn't do it. If it's a dog sitting there with a relaxed mouth, loose body, you go, looking at the child, you go, that's a very nice dog. We'll take you over, but you don't take it all the way. This is another topic where I'd say how to meet that dog, but the meeting should be done by the dog, not the child, by the way. Don't let the child walk up the dog, let the dog walk to the child. But that's another topic. But just think about that approach. You wouldn't let them be irrationally scared. So if I've got a dog like that with me that's irrationally scared of me, I'm being nice, I'm down low, I'm good, and I let the dog make the choice. I talked about it in the video. It's probably never going to come near me with treats. It's going to sit and go, I ain't going near you. It's on my terms. I don't want to come near you. I'm going to use compulsion training. I'm going to grab that lead, and I'm going to use a comparison to a tug of war. So I'm not going to go yank and yank, but I'm going to hold pressure, and I'm going to gradually, and if that dog makes one bit of effort to go forward, I'm going to relieve the pressure, negative reinforcement. And then I'm just going to slowly, and people would say that this wouldn't work. I say to you, you're wrong, because I've done it. I don't know how many times successfully. Because when that dog gets to me and I gets here and it gets here and I touch it and it goes, oh, okay. And so many times, and it might take a minute, it might take 30 seconds, but it inevitably happens. The dog goes, oh, I was being silly, I was being irrationally scared.
Yep.
But if I leave it on the dog's turn for too long, it's not going to happen. So that is how I would deal for a fearful dog.
Yep.
A dog that is another level of fear, that's a fear-biting dog, I would do a similar method, but I would muzzle the dog to protect myself. Mm-hmm. I would take the power away from the dog, because where dogs get power is when they get someone taking a backward step. So no muzzle on the dog, snapping dog, snarling. People don't want to go near it. The dog learns, I know how to keep you away. I'm just going to be over the top aggressive. I put a muzzle on and go, hey, you don't scare me anymore, buddy. I'm going to use a similar method. I'm going to touch them. And they go, oh, don't need to be scared. So it's the same method, but I'm going to step it up to protect myself.
Yep.
But I call it taking the power away from the dog. Don't allow it to scare me. Okay, I'll be muzzle punched. For those who know what the term is, dog's got a muzzle on and they still try and bite you. I've had that done many, many times, badly by dogs. And it's an interesting thing to watch when the dog doesn't get a response from you. Normally people run, dog hits you with a muzzle and you just go, what's up? And they go, huh? You meant to jump backwards. It's very weird. You see their brain tick over and they just sort of chill out often a lot of the time. There's people out there go, yeah, but it knows it can't bite you and it's got a muzzle on, so it doesn't try. Dogs are smart, but they're not that smart. They're actually pretty dumb in that way. They'll try and bite through a muzzle. So the intention will still happen.
Yep.
It doesn't get a response from me. I stay relaxed. I don't yell and scream. The dog realises it doesn't get a response. The dog realises they don't need to be scared, and all these good things start to happen. So that's how I would deal with that level, whether it be just a general fearful dog or a very dog that will fear bite. Fear biters are dogs that when you corner them, they attack. They're generally quiet. They sit under your feet. People reinforce it by letting that happen. You get too close, snap. So if you know that sort of dog, you set it up where you take the power away from the dog. Okay? That covered your question with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Choose another, yeah?
Oh, I have another question.
Yeah.
It's on the leadership.
Oh, yeah. Oh, one sec, before I forget, sorry. One thing you asked. You asked before, I think it kind of cut off, how quick, don't forget what you were going to ask.
Yep.
How quick can we establish leadership on a dog? Like,
Yes.
Oh, is that it?
No, but that's
How
also
quick?
a question, yes.
Seconds.
Yep.
Seconds. I do it all the time. You grab a lead, and dogs, not always second, but very often, I would say 30 seconds. The dog's like, oh, okay, I'm going to listen to you. You're going to make me do it. When I'm talking about normal dogs, not aggressive, not scared, just a dog.
Yep.
Casual, easygoing dog. Within 2 sits, every owner, most of you out there, sit. Me, dog's name, whatever it is. Max, sit. Max doesn't sit, bang, he sits. Do it again. Max, sit. Max doesn't sit, make him sit. Third time, I go, Max, sit. He goes, bang. Okay, I'm going to do it. And we've established our rapport, our leadership, our bond, our friendship, whatever. And the rest of the session, dog goes, you're serious. I give the lead back to the owner. Dog goes, you again. And dog goes, I'm not sitting for you. And I see it all the time. You could have 10 people lined up, give a lead to every single person, and the dog will react a different way according to how you react with that dog within the first 10 seconds. There is a 1,000% correlation between my confidence, my body language, and that dog's ability to listen. And if you don't have it, you have a dog that goes, you're a joke, I ain't listening to you. I'm going to do what I want, when I want. Yeah. Anyway.
So taking that leadership, if it's just you and your dog, that's one thing.
Yep.
But now you have a family, wife, husband, partner, yeah? Can the dog, I guess, can there be either a change or an exchange in leadership, and not necessarily moment to moment, but parts of the day we're out and about instead of being in the house or whatever, where the dog will, and I'm going to assume I'm probably answering my own question here, where it will respond differently today to me versus my partner or your husband or your wife, because the leadership between us two changes hands.
Yeah, between the wife and husband.
Yep, for instance.
Yeah. I think for sure. I had an interesting thing yesterday. I always think of scenarios. Training 2 little dachshunds yesterday who were introduced them to chickens, and the chicken pens that they react, and they're little prey-driven dogs. It was very interesting because it reminds me of what you just said. I was standing there with the wife and the dog. One of the dogs wasn't reacting at all to chickens and just sitting there chilled. And it was really weird, normal, sitting there, whatever. And then the husband came home. He walked down the hill, and within a minute of that guy standing there, his dog started reacting to the chickens. And I went, wow, there's a real connection, and there's a really connection with what you just asked. He turned up, and the whole dynamic changed of me, his wife, and him, and it started getting really reactive. I'm like, what is going on here? And I don't even know often we're even guessing, but I'm like, that was really interesting, and there was a 100% connection. It was literally within a minute. We'd been there for half an hour, no reaction. Sitting there looking. He turns up 60 seconds later, out the front. He was standing pretty close to the dog.
Yep.
So whether the dog was like a resource guarding for whatever else, or the chickens as a threat, protecting. Look, little Dachshunds can be what they're bred for. They'll kill things. It's a reality. Little Dachshund owners out there, okay, they have an on switch like every dog does.
Yep.
If you put a right breed around its dog, the job what it's programmed to do, it will do that job. And she saw it yesterday. Like, oh my God, they've never seen chickens, and there's another side come out of these dogs. But that was interesting connection, and that's the reason I brought that up, because yeah, dynamics can change between that. So I think you're asking, like, let's say, husband and wife, and call it an equal partnership, and they're both the same. But then, are you asking that one day their dynamic changes, that maybe he's tense or he's not, or you?
For instance.
Yeah, like he comes home in a bad mood, maybe, or she comes home in a bad mood.
Yeah, right. And then maybe more importantly is when it has a negative impact on the dog.
Yep.
How to change it,
Yeah.
or at least to go, oh, hang on.
Which you do see, and I think you're asking that because you probably know that it happens. Tension, the old saying, tension running down the lead is true, but tension in a house goes through to everyone, and it goes through to a dog. I trained a dog the other week with a girl who's very high over the top with her dog all the time. She's got a really good dog, but I had to get her to relax. I went, your dog's manic behaviour is coming from you. You need to chill out. Your dog's good, but it's picking up on all this tension. It's like you asked before about how mirroring, if a dog's nervous, and if you're nervous, the dog doesn't. That's the same with that. That's that mirroring. If you come home tense and you walk in the door, the dog picks up on it. I'm full of examples. I'll give you another one. And it's true. People say to me, oh, how I go, you know the old story how you get told you can't punish a dog an hour late after behaviour. This is true. But a lot of people go to me, yeah, but I come home and I walked out the back and the dog dug a hole and it went like this. It knew it was in trouble. I went, no. What happened was you saw the hole, your body language changed. You went from, hey pup, what the, and you did this. The dog went, what the, and went this. That's what happened. You think the dog knew what it did an hour ago. No, it didn't. It didn't. Your body language changed. And if you really want to test it, next time dog digs a hole, be conscious of not changing your behaviour. Go, hey buddy, how you going? Don't even look at the hole, but bet you your dog's behaviour doesn't change. Be very, very surprised if it does. You know, you talked earlier, and I don't know if I got cut off about the little idiosyncrasies that we have. They're subtle. We could go from relaxed shoulders to seeing a hole going, what? And our shoulders come up. Dogs are very easily cued by little things. Just how we lean, how we tone of our voice. So if you look at a hole and then you've gone, what have you done? Of course the dog's going to change. The dog just hears, what have you done? And goes, I don't know, but I'm in trouble for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that, again, is connected to what you say. If you come home from work and you've had that bad day and you bring it in the house, that's going to follow through to your dog, to your partner. You're tense, the dog's tense. You need to be conscious of when you walk into your home to being relaxed, because there's a real connection between your personality and your dog's personality. I check myself sometimes. I'm not going to deny it. I can be like anyone. You can get tense sometimes with your dog. I go, relax, okay, it's a dog. And everyone has it. Everyone has those moments. You know, you've got to be aware of that. Your demeanour, your behaviour not flowing through to your dog. Because you often see these really chill dogs, really relaxed. And I don't use the term hippie, but these, you know, people that are super earthy people, relaxed people, you see their dogs often, they're really similar, and you're like, just chill dogs laying around, don't care about dogs. And I'm not saying all of them, but I do think there's a real connection there. Although they're usually the people that have their dogs off leads and go, flower child, world's beautiful, let them all off leads. Can't let them all off leads because dogs get bitten and people get bitten. I get it, And I would love to let my dog off lead as well, but we can't. That's another topic. But my point is, those relaxed people tend to have really relaxed dogs a lot of the time too. Not always, but I do think there's a correlation between personalities and dogs' personalities.
I'd say it's, and I know this is something that I'd mentioned to you, off camera. Dogs are actually really good at mirroring, as if they are reflecting what's going on. You're tense, dog's tense. You're relaxed, dog's relaxed. And it's almost, it's almost like the reverse psychology on us, even as a dog owner, dog handler, that looking at your dog, chances are it'll give you a snapshot in terms of what's happening with you, and maybe that can be the cue for you to go, oh, things are going great, or oh, hang on, my dog's really nervous, anxious, whatever. Am I doing something? Not saying that you necessarily are.
But a lot of time people are, because I think you're exactly correct. I've got a friend right now who I've trained her dog for, Mindy, as a mind dog, as an assistance dog. And unfortunately, she's just come home. She's come home from Sydney. She's having surgery, and Mindy's an amazing dog, okay? Never licks, never jumps, never done anything wrong to her at all. She's come home from hospital, and unfortunately this lady's very sick and needing surgery, and she come home and Mindy, she's got no wounds or anything, Mindy's starting to sniff and lick on that spot where she has cancer. Okay, so, and she knows this, and she's sensing it, and I really believe that. So my point is, what I'm saying is, yes, that's how sensitive they are. Like, you don't even know what you're reflecting to your dog, what you're mirroring, what you're doing. So you've got to be very cognitive of, very aware of these personalities, because it can. And like I said, with my dog and anyone's dog, you've got to check yourself sometimes, because you're wondering why your dog's a bit crazy and manic, and you go, hang on, I'm a bit crazy and manic. I need to chill out a bit around my dog and not expect so much, because people to state the obvious, they're dogs. And my constant battle on puppy programs is to get people to, every week on every lesson, I remind people, relax. I go, how old's your dog? 16 weeks. And you want it to sit, stay, calm down, stand. And I go, tell me what you could do at 16 weeks. Even times it by 7 in dog human years. What is that? 2 years old, whatever, not even a year old. Nothing. You could lay on your back and poop your pants. And you expect your dog to sit and stay and come and stand and leave dogs. I'm like, relax, okay? Because they're probably the most common group of people that are too tense with their dogs, and expecting too much. And then the dog, puppies, like, I don't know what's going on. You've got to focus on just having fun with your puppy. Yes, train them. Chilled. Keep it relaxed, okay? There's levels of dog training. There's puppy training, which is fun, puppy training, and yes, then there's like the younger dog, adolescent, a little bit stricter, and then there's that adult dog, hey, this is the rules now. No different than your kids. You let a 2-year-old get away with a lot more than you do with a 20-year-old. You step it up every time. We have as parents, we go, you're an adult now, you should know better. There's a lot of commonalities between parenting children and parenting kids, and I did a video the other day about that. A lot of it, okay? And you're talking about body language with your dogs, that's the same with your kids. A tense household with your children is going to be, and you're tense as parents, and you're wondering, you're yelling at your kids, and you're wondering why your kids yell at their sister and brother. Well, they're hearing the same thing. So you wonder why your dog's being aggressive or whatever with this. A dog sees you aggressive with your wife, or your wife with your husband, or your husband with your child. And they can learn behaviours off weird things, And I do think dogs can learn behaviours off humans for sure. They clearly learn obedience off us.
Yes.
And we've only got to. Sometimes I don't know about you, but I look at my dog and go, it's amazing. I can talk. You're an animal. Like I have this out of body moment.
Yes.
I go, okay, you're a dog, and we just look past, and I go, you're a dog. You're an animal, and I can say, sit, down, side, centre, come, stand, leave it, place, and you do it all.
It's pretty amazing.
It's pretty bloody amazing, you know what I mean? That's a lot of things, and I go, I think I expect too much of you sometimes. You're an animal. You used to be potentially in the wild, hunting your prey and killing things, and now we have you on this piece of string, this rope, and we expect you not to sniff and bark and growl and do all these things. And we need to chill out. Like talking about reactivity, people misunderstand reactivity a lot. A lot of it is, I only said it last week, sort of coined the way I would say it. Instead of reactivity with most dogs, you should exchange that for your dog as being instinctive. It's just an instinctive behavior it does. Reactivity gets used too much in dogs as a term. True reactivity, like being reactive, is it being reactive or is it being instinctive? Like it's scared of something, so it's instinctively growling, going, go away.
Yeah.
That's not being reactive. That's doing normal dog stuff. Going, okay, I'm scared of you. Go away from me. Dog goes, no worries, and most dogs get it and they go away. But we seem to put everything in as one thing. It's reactive. This is reactive. This is reactivity. When a lot of it's not reactivity. A lot of it's very acceptable, normal, instinctive behavior of the dog. So it wasn't what you asked, but if something comes up, I like to remind people of it. So just remember that. Don't put them all in the same category because you'll end up expecting way too much of your dogs. Understand? I think I mentioned this last podcast, but it's worth mentioning again. What else you got there? Another one?
Oh, well, it's not on here, but it's maybe a question from me as an interested thing I'd like to know. It seems it's not uncommon, even with my dog. Typically, my dog is a very social butterfly, but there's definitely differences if I can just, genderize it. I know that that's also a loaded thing.
Shouldn't be, but anyway.
Shouldn't be, but where he responds differently comparatively to a male versus a female, right? And I know that that's not just my
male dog or person?
Person.
Okay, yep.
And so my question is, what are some insights that you have from your perspective that may explain or contribute to that difference amongst, generalizing dogs?
Yep.
Why is it that dogs respond differently to...
So you're saying he's better with
female,
males, as if he listens more?
No, as in he's a little bit more standoffish.
More weird,
He responds really well to obviously some and
Yep.
loves some, like Martin.
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God,
goes
loves
berserk.
Martin. Loves him, right?
Yep.
But when it comes to meeting strangers and
Yep.
new people, if I just contrast comparatively to males,
Yep.
he's a little bit more like, hey, like, who are you? What are you doing?
Yep.
But he would. I've not yet seen him do that with a female.
I think it makes total sense. I really do. I think, like you talked before about how we are predisposed to act how we act. We don't mean to do our body language. So I think male and female are very much that. I would say if I had to generalise a little bit, males probably hold themselves a bit bigger and more, call it dominant. So that'd be the first thing. Possibly, if I had to think in a dog's mind, straight away when he meets males, they show more assertiveness, and he's not good with that assertiveness, definitely. So he's making that assessment straight away. Obviously our voice is a lot deeper in that way, and I definitely think the biggest thing to think about is we're way more challenging to that dog's leadership, control, whatever. Generally, I think it's agreed that females will be less threatening to that, because it's just how we're designed biologically. Women are a lot more welcoming, generally a lot friendlier, higher voice.
Yep.
And we talked about tone before, between making a dog saying sit to sit. That can be good, but it's not always a good thing, because you've got to read the room with the dog. So every dog's different. So when I say that before, I don't speak to every dog like that, because some dogs are real soft. It's like with praise. You can overpraise some dogs, and some dogs you need a lot of praise. Some dogs you got to dull it down, like a Labrador. They're just so out of their minds. The praise with a Labrador is like this: good boy. Because they're like any higher and they go, oh my God, I'm a good boy, I'm gonna go crazy, you know what I mean? They can't. You gotta do. I praise labs like that. Yeah, good boy. You're like, yeah, good boy.
It's like equivalent of
it is. I gotta be like that. I can't. I gotta watch the praise. So that is like when you meet a dog. If you're like coming up quite front on with the dog and more threatening to the dog, I think Winston, because obviously I know him, he's a really nice dog, but he's a pretty gentle soul in a lot of ways. So I think he probably finds a threat from males. He finds that straight away, and he finds women just less threatening. If I had to break it down to that, I would call it threatening, call it dominance, call whatever you want. I think there's categories for it. I think men show it more than women, and he picks up on that for sure. And we can try and hide it, but again, it's in us. It's our voice is deeper, and it's just how it is. So that's what I would say with him. And knowing Martin as my staff member, pretty gentle soul, pretty soft sort of guy. Sorry, Martin, but you are. No, you're a good guy.
Martin.
But he loves you. But what I mean is Martin's a nice guy. He's not threatening. He's, he greets a dog well and things like that. Like, if you, as a dog owner, ever wanted to really answer that question, you could, like, people set up science-based tests, like a proper interventional study. You could test that. You could have 3 girls and 3 guys, and you could have them in a room, have Winston outside, and go girl, guy, girl, guy, whatever, and literally film the response. It'd be interesting to see at a distance how quick he assesses as what they are as well. I've never done it, but it'd be interesting to see how quick he picks up on those body language things. It's a girl, unless a guy comes out. It'd be interesting. But that's the way you could answer that for yourself. But I really think it comes down to that. It's really black and white with dogs. They're very binary animals, and I think they just go like dominant, not dominant, threatening, non-threatening, friendly, non-friendly, whatever you want to call it. Pick a word. I think that's what it comes down to with your dog.
Extension to that question.
Yeah.
So when it comes to making sure that you continue to be the leader to your dog,
Yeah.
and clearly guys have got some things going for them from a physical perspective, the voice, the posture, the stance, right?
But not all good.
Not all good. No, I mean, look, everything that is a plus can also be a not plus.
Big time.
And now you're the female, right? So you don't necessarily have the deep voice. You don't necessarily have that. And again, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. What are some things that you would advise as a broad generalization to guys? Hey, these are some things that you may want to think about to really help and further your leadership. And the same would apply to women.
Yep. So you're talking about, say, their own pet.
Yes.
And they are having problems, or just things to generally be aware of?
Generally things to be aware of.
Yeah.
And then I guess the things that may not naturally come so easily to males and females.
Yeah. It's a good question. Yeah. First thing is, I think we're overly emotional. I know I am as a guy. We are more volatile, for sure. Most of the violence in the world is caused by men. That's just fact, statistics, okay? It's true. So we are more violent. We get louder. We get angrier. So we need to check ourselves more like that. Be aware of that. Because, yes, there's a time to be strong on a dog, but there's also a time that you got to drop that aside, because you don't want your dog to have look, if you're coming home, I'll give you an example, and I don't mean to offend. It's true. I don't like to offend people, but if you see some farmers with their dogs, if you watch their dog's body language with a lot of dogs, they walk in like this, tail under. Yeah, they come near them, but they're scared of their owner a lot of the time. And I'm sure people might watching go, that's not true. It is. It's maybe more old school, maybe not now, but because I know how some of those dogs are trained, and yes, they've got to do a job, but they have this fear. You'll see them walking really low to their owner like that. My dog doesn't do that to me. Yes, he'll put his ears back sometimes if I tell him to do something, but he's not walking and cringing. There's a cringing behaviour about it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to set that aside, but I think you know what I'm talking about. I think we've all seen it. So what I'm saying there is, if you're an owner who comes home, I'll give him something to think about. You walk in the door, watch your dog's body language when he walks up. Ears back's all right, because that's a dog actually just saying, you're leader, it's a little bit of submission, hey, how you going? But if it's cowering towards you, that's not a good thing. That's more than leadership. That's a fearful dog. Yes, it'll still greet you. This is a dog's worst trait, which is they love even bad people, which is the saddest thing about dogs. They get mistreated and they still want love from them, want love. So you can't always say to me, yeah, but he comes to the door and meets me. That doesn't mean they always love you. They could be doing that out of fear as well, going, I've got to go and greet you because if I do anything wrong, I'm going to get in trouble. So you've got to be careful of, having there's a line between, yes, being a boss to your dog and having to do what you want, to a dog being damn right scared of you and scared they haven't even have a personality around you. So when you turn up home, you want to be aware of that, how you're greeting your dog, obviously. But one of the biggest faults I see with men that I've trained over the years is overcorrecting. So, and a lot of handlers do it in general, but a lot of men do it. Let's say a dog is aggressive to another dog, like really it goes rah, and me, knowing what I do, I'll go, leave it. I'll give the dog choice verbally, doesn't leave it, I give a pop, dog stop, done, finished. There's no more second correction thing. You'll see, if I had to pick out a gender to do it, I would say men, I've had more problem with it, overcorrecting, correcting again, too aggressive, too much, and then the dog, how a dog works is, if it's in the second it does it wrong, so let's say this is this is something the dog jumps on. If it jumps up and I go no and hops off, that's it, done. If it goes on, off, and I go no, 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 the dog has no idea what that no is for. So when you're overcorrecting, even if it's not overcorrecting, if your timing is wrong, the dog will have a cringe behavior only because it doesn't know what it's getting in trouble for. So this is what I always say to people when I correct a dog, that you can use corrections with a dog. Now the word correction is very linear. Could be a harsh correction with a very, very aggressive, dangerous dog, or it could be a little touch. Hey, that's a correction. But the point is, timing's on. If I was sitting here now and we're talking and you did nothing and I randomly just yelled at you and went like that, the rest of this podcast, you'd be nervous going, when is this going to happen? This guy's got Tourette's syndrome or something. It's freaking out on me.
Yeah.
You would be waiting for the next one.
Yeah.
But if, every time you picked this bottle up and you smashed it on the table, I went, hey, and I'd stop when you didn't do it again, and then you did it again. Hey, you would know that correction's only for that.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be
Very
nervous.
clear.
It's very clear. It's binary. Don't touch the bottle, and I won't do anything to you. It's the same with your dog when you come home. And like we talked before about the hole in the backyard. And this is probably more of a guy thing. Come home. What are you doing digging that hole? You're in trouble. And then they go, get over here. Dog comes over and gets in trouble. And then that owner wonders why that dog wasn't come near him again. Guess what the dog learnt when it went from A to B to come near you? It got in trouble for coming to you. You can't say to a dog, next time I come home, you blah, blah, blah. No. It only equates going from there to there is a bad thing. Okay? So then you've already done this rehearsed behavior in a dog that when it comes to you, it gets in trouble, and when it does this, it gets in trouble, and you've got a confused dog. So I went a little bit off topic on there in that part, but be careful of your timing of your reprimand, correction, positive punishment for the correct term people use, which is a weird term because people use the word positive and think it's good. Positive means you're giving punishment, and then there's negative and positive. I say forget the negatives and positive. It confuses a lot of people. You're either giving a correction or you're not giving a correction. You're either being nice or you're not being nice. It's pretty simple.
Yep.
And it creates confusion. But just quickly, when you come home, being aware of your body language. When you do come in the door, a little bit of an extra on that, don't rush to greet your dog. Greet your family, greet everyone else first. Do your thing, put your bag down, go to the toilet, get a drink, do whatever you're doing. Then go to your dog and greet it. Let it come to you, greet your dog. Check your personality at the door. You've had a crappy day at work, leave it at work. Walk in, see your dog, and do that. Be aware. But men typically we're the ones who do that. And that's why, like I said before with Winston, I think why he picks up on that. We can't hide it. We can try to hide it, but it's pretty difficult. I think once Winston, because I know Winston, he runs up at me and all over me. Once he gets to know people, he's fine.
Yeah.
But he's a little wary. Did you have Winston's a puppy?
No.
Okay.
No,
So you don't know his full
no.
history?
No.
Okay. So that makes sense, yeah. You never know, Dogs are imprinted very easily during that critical learning phase, and even outside that critical learning phase. If bad things happen, they pick up on things really quick. And I always remember the example of Nash, where I walk around this area, and I come to this grass area, and I come there one day, and this dog at the fence, berserk, rah, 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 rah. First day, Nash goes, what the hell? Hackles go up, we walk past. Walk the next day, we're coming towards the grass, Nash's tail goes, zoop, before the dog even barked. He recognised that area within a day. My point of that story is dogs are programmed and imprinted very easily. So if you overcorrect, do something wrong, you do that, it's in your dog's brain. It's like being attacked by a dog. They become the reactive dog. So if you're that owner who greets dog wrong, who punishes wrong, who's mean to a dog when you shouldn't be mean, it's very hard for them to move past that. So you need to be aware of it. I probably ranted around that whenever.
Well, coming back to the question,
yeah.
What are some things that you typically see amongst women that they do and perhaps maybe should do less of or more of?
Yeah. So that actually is a good point. Yeah. What you do well is you're nicer than me. No, but on the other side, what you talked about is most women, not always, but it's the women normally who are ruining the dogs with too much love. You love your dogs. I get it. I love my dog. But there's a time for, I call it two hats. You got your leader's hat where this is what you got to do. And then you got that friend's hat. Love you, family friend hat. People are wearing the wrong hat at the wrong time. You know what I mean? And they're trying to fix a behaviour in a dog with our language, with our tone. I can say to you in the nicest tone in the world, Emma, can you please not touch that bottle? And you understand what I mean, yeah? If I speak to a dog like that, hey, don't touch that bottle. Dog goes, high voice, here's no, nice, nothing bad. It doesn't understand what I do, understands tone. So your voices and your body language tend to be, and I'm generalizing, but it's a pretty accurate statistic, too nice with that tone. And that's where people battle. But what you lack in maybe being able to use your voice, you can use in body language. You can use good lead handling, good physical contact with your dog. So don't touch that bottle, may not work with your voice, but you can grab a collar and go, sit, leave it, and then back. So there's always a way around it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's what we need to do. We as people, and talking about ladies, like you said, but women, we need to understand dogs don't take it personal if you do it the right way. They'll get confused if you correct them the wrong way, but if they do something wrong and you go, oi, quit it, they go, oh, no worries. Within half a second, the dog's over it and goes, hey, what's your name? Oh, there's a tree. Oh, there's a cat, there's a dog.
Shiny new object.
They just move on.
Yeah.
We go, you're horrible. Why did you talk to me like that?
I feel so bad.
Yeah, and we go on about it.
Yeah.
So we're anthropomorphizing, we're putting all our human qualities into animals. The group out there tend to think that this is the way we communicate with dogs. Because I spoke about it last week. We are comparing apples to oranges. And I don't believe much of our communication. Some does, but I don't believe a lot of how we learn things and communicate crosses over to dogs. I think we're very different species in a lot of ways. And I see it in my dog all the time. They can take it, sit, no worries, I'll sit. But if you grab me and went, sit, I'd go, what the hell are you doing? It just shows you how different we are. Dogs go, no worries, I'll sit, okay. And then I'll stay here if you want me to stay here. And if you don't stay, I'll put you back. And they just get it after a while. So my timing's right, and it's not confusing, it's clear to the dog, they understand it. So women need to work more on, I would say, body language, spatial pressure. If you don't have it in your voice, learn to use your lead. Learn to say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't say to your kids, go to bed, and not let them go to bed. You would go, hey, TV off, go to bed. If you tell your dog to sit, don't repeat it. Don't worry about having a higher voice. It doesn't matter. Grab your dog, pop, make them do it. I think that'd be the number one way you can level up.
Yep.
To men having our voice and our body language, you can level up by being more physical with your dog. And again, the word physical is very linear. It doesn't have to be, I'm not saying physically hurt your dog, but being physical, being physical with your dog. Like going, I mean what I say.
Yeah.
Grab their lead and make them do it. You don't even have to use your voice. You can teach a dog in hand signals that way there. But that'd be the quickest way, I'd say, if that covers your question, I'd say to level up. Use more spatial pressure, be more physical with your dogs. Learn tone. Tone is important. Don't overspeak, because this is the one a lot of women do. Do. Okay? I said do. I've done that before. A lot of women go, now, particularly older women, what did I tell you, Sammy? I said not to go over there and do that to that dog. You're being very naughty. And all I see is Homer Simpson, where he hears the speech bubble going, blah, 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 blah. And that's all the dog hears.
Out,
Instead of, oi. Dog goes, okay. If I've done it a few times in the video, and this is a good way to level up. It's only a clap of the hands.
Yeah.
But dogs seem to respond really well to it.
Something sharp.
A good clap.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So that's how I'd say body language, spatial pressure, that sort of stuff. Yeah. I gotta get a drink. I was trying to get through it without a cough, and there you go. It just cuts out. So like I said, it was a little bit of a disaster, this one. But I still believe there's some great information we talked about and answered some good questions. Now, some of the answers we gave you may not agree with, and that's okay. They are our opinions in our different fields. The idea is to create conversation, but I think we gave some good info out there and had a bit of fun, have a laugh, and covered some good topics. And we're going to do it again regularly. So thank you for listening. It's very appreciated wherever you listened or watched. I look forward to doing the next one and answering more questions that you may have. Put in the comments on my social media anywhere, and we'll aim to get through them. Really enjoy doing it. As usual, if you enjoy what I do for you, if you learn something, even if you don't, a subscribe, a share, a follow, whatever you want to do is very appreciated on any platform wherever you're watching or listening. Okay, thanks. See you later. Bye.